1 2 1 2.
There we go.
It's kind of a short agenda tonight.
You just cursed it. Oh no, you just cursed it.
Yeah, y'all, even when I think it's short, y'all do like this.
You just no, because I can.
I love 13-hour days, so
You know, it is usually when we talk, isn't it? Between 7 and 7. I said that is usually when we talk the first time. 7 to 7:30, something like that.
it is. Well, yeah, we talk early before we get bunkered down anywhere else. Matter of fact, there's something on my list I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
That thing Wednesday. I'm not. The first interview's at 2:30,
Okay.
so I'm not.
I'll
Going.
tell you what I'll do. I've put together like a PowerPoint for him, just going through the problems that are
Available.
available. So I'll share that with you if you want me to. I'll see if you got anything extra you think would need to go in there.
Jeff and Ed, if y'all turn your mics on up here, and Bo, turn your mic on.
Mine's on. Tanya.
Is yours on?
Mine's on.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Well, it's about hearing it on. Yep, I'm good. We're on. So, all right, on the call to order the meeting, the May 5th, 2025 meeting of the Scotland County Board of County Commissioners, and ask Commissioner Edge for an invocation.
All right. May we bow our heads as we pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and you waking us up. Lord, our county is hurting in multiple different ways. Today, I pray for a hedge of protection and peace over our county. I pray for our citizens and their daily struggles. I pray for the kids in the school system who battle problems daily in and out. On top of these, I pray that you watch over each and every person here, along with their families. I pray that as we conduct this meeting, that you will guide our decisions to benefit our county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, for real good, our attorney will sing. All right, on the approval of the agenda, just a couple of items to put in there. One of them I'd like to do right after the consent agenda is the as a clerk proclamation. I'd like to add a discussion somewhere in after the county manager report about a issue with bridge signs, and we do need a closed session to consult with the very brief closed session to consult with the attorney at the end. All right. So do I have a motion for that agenda with those amendments?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is our public forum. You'll state your name and address. Just a reminder that we have a 3-minute limit, which Ms. Tyson will time. Is there anybody signed up on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Watts.
Mr. Watts is? Come on up. Come on up to the podium. Is it that mic on? It's not so much so you can hear it in here, it's so they can hear it on the people that are watching it online. How are you?
Good, sir.
All right.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Introduce myself. My name is Jimmy Watts. I'm the one that brought this up about this bridge. Community members have been ticketed, have been fined, in my opinion, and kind of violated by our public servants. After a little bit about myself, I've done 3 tours in Afghanistan. We pledged allegiance to this flag. We sat here and we bowed our heads and prayed, and I did that many a days wanting to come home from overseas for my family that is here to support me. Since I made a video, I've had over almost going on 30,000 views in and throughout our community about this bridge. My opinion, it was done in a good old boy system, nowhere else in Scotland County. I put in for a job, and I've spoke with each of you commissioners about this job. You told me you don't get involved in HR matters. Well, I was very well qualified with this job. I was accepted to take this job, signed an offer letter, used taxpayer dollars to go take a P test, and then since, in my opinion, I spoke out about this bridge, guess what happened to my job? My offer letter got pulled. So a man that served his country, a man that stood up for the people in this county, our citizens, is this fair? Is this just? You know, for me, I've always helped my community. I had a chance to speak with Miss Sneed today. I've been speaking with Miss English. I've spoke to Jeff personally on the phone. I spoke to you, Mr. Ivy. I went and had to chase Mr. Bo down going out to that business meeting the other day to county commissioners meeting to speak with him. What was done to me was wrong. And if this is the way our county government does for people, it's got to stop. I have a First Amendment right, which is freedom of press, freedom of speech. I gave my freedom of press, my freedom of speech. I understand there's policies and procedures that go in place for county employees, but you never, ever should step on our God-given constitutional rights. Never. This is what I served for. This is what I fought for. Our sheriff is in here. He's a Marine veteran. Will any of y'all step on his rights? I mean, ask yourselves that. Any of y'all. You know, politics, I don't want to get involved in politics. I would rather do a bunch of other things than be involved in politics. But now I'm forcing retaliation against me is what I think, and now it's forcing my hand to get involved in politics because we have to make a change. Nobody deserved what happened to me should ever deserve what happened to them. This was a job that could have kept me home with my family. You didn't affect me. You didn't affect me. This job didn't affect me. It affected my family sitting right over there. I want y'all to look at my family. My son, my daughter, my mother. It affected my family. I have raised a good family to be productive parts of this society in our county to make our county better. One thing I always tell my children, never feel you're better than anybody. You always help that person. I go home one day and there's a disabled kid in my yard. My son took him swimming. We are better than nobody, but there ain't nobody better than us. Whether you're elected, whether you're a government official, stand up for what you believe in, but take care of the people that actually put you in office. I voted for each and every one of y'all. Each and every one of y'all. But now, y'all are forcing me, because what happened to me, to get involved. And I don't want to get involved. I want to go back home, enjoy my family, enjoy my life, work a decent job, and stay home. But yet, now, here we are.
All right, we've exceeded the limit, so.
Thank you.
We will discuss that one issue later on in the meeting, so, thank you. Thank you. Is anybody else? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda? You make the motion, Commissioner Edge. Anybody second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item is our 2024 Child Fatality Prevention Team Annual Report. And Carlotta Rivers, are you going to do that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, me and Miss McCray, we're going to co-present.
Do both? Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
Good evening to the board. I am Carlotta Rivers, and I'm the chairperson for the Child Fatality Prevention Team of Scotland County. We work in collaboration as a blended team with the Community Child Protection Team, which is staffed with DSS members. So basically what we do, we have to report this report to you annually because it is regarded through general statute, so it's a mandate. It's not an option. And the Child Fatality Prevention Team, or I refer to as CFPT, we review cases of child deaths, those deaths from 0 to 18 that are not due to abuse or neglect. So it's a multidisciplinary team, and we come together from various community agencies and social workers from the health department and through DSS, and we confidentially review the information that is brought from each agency if they've had any interaction with the child or the parents, and we assess for any system problems or gaps in services to try to develop recommendations as needed. So your duty is to hear this report and also to vote on the membership list, which we'll do towards the end. And the child deaths that we reviewed in 2024, and keep in mind that these deaths occurred in 2023, we reviewed a total of 7 child deaths. And I'll just give you some vague reasonings: perinatal conditions, homicide, accident due to motor vehicle accidents. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We
Okay.
can.
And additional perinatal conditions and birth defects. So you have in your packets the report, which contains activities and accomplishments. Every year we have to report our case review findings to the state coordinator. We send those in within 45 days of the case review. And we also continue to advocate for other child agencies in the county and other events that children participate in, whether that's through Parks and Recreation or the Health Department. One that I would like to bring focus to, we got an additional $1,700. We use that money to actually provide safe sleep and CPR training for daycare staff members. Out of the 10 that were contacted, only 3 expressed interest and did what they need to do to be able to get this money. Any questions?
You're not gonna know the answer to this, but I know you said that it's not, doesn't include children's deaths that were child abuse, but yet they would include homicide in there. I don't, is there a reason they don't include abuse?
Well,
Or is
it's
it
more
picked up
so
some-
how it's phrased, because Community Child Protection Team reviews cases of abuse and neglect.
Right.
So a homicide is not looked at in that manner, if that makes sense.
I think she means it well.
I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I know you don't have any control over it. I was just curious as to why they didn't include that in there. But anyway, before we do anything else, can you check that? I don't think it's running. I think it's hot. Is anybody else hot, or is it just me? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so we want to move on to well, first of all, this is where we need to do the child fatality prevention team approval here, or is that in the next?
No.
Usually do that. Yeah, we usually do that at the end.
Okay.
And thank you for allowing me to come before you this evening. During the 2024, the Scotland County Community Child Protective Team meetings were held in conjunction with the Scotland County Child Fatality Prevention Team. As members of each team are duplicated, joint meetings were held on March 20th of 2024, May 15th, 2024, August 21st, 2024, and 10/16 of 2024. But due to the effects of this cyber incident, which occurred in December of 2023, the January 24 meeting was canceled. Over the calendar year of 2024, 6 cases were presented to the CCPT from Children's Services Unit of Scotland County Department of Social Services. Recommendations were provided from the team for individuals in cases based on contributory factors related to the findings of neglect and/or abuse. Recommendations were also made for the community based on problematic trends identified in the cases that were reviewed. As I stated, 6 cases were presented at our meetings, and recommendations were made at our meetings in 2024. Of the 6 cases presented, the primary concerns of substantial housing, substance abuse, parenting, child characteristics, physical health, mental health, sexual assault, and domestic violence were noted. Each of the cases that were reviewed have several different additional contributory factors resulting in neglect, which were identified in addition to the primary contributing factor. And I have put within your packet the list of the cases that were presented during the year for your review. And at this time, we would like to propose our 2025 Child and Community Protection Team members along with the CFPT members.
Okay.
So
And I
if you-
think everybody should have that list that Ms. Tyson gave out earlier, so. Any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
Ms. McCray, how would you say we're trending in terms of these behaviors? Are we getting better? Are the interventions with families helping? How would you describe the state of things?
Well, of course, we are still seeing these trends, especially with substance abuse becoming a very strong factor. And that's why our opioid program is so important. So we do see a lot of that. However, when we're able to get together and meet, that helps a lot because a lot of suggestions are made as well within our group settings.
Is a required position?
Okay. Mr. Johnston had a question.
Just, and Ms. Tyson may have this in the correct listing, but they have Reese Saunders listed as the district attorney, and Jamie Adams is now, Mr. Saunders retired, so. Or that was in the information that was sent out.
So, they would have to update your list. They would have to update their list. I didn't, that was from you.
It just says it was a required position, so Jamie Adams is his
Yes, we
district
can add
attorney
her to
now.
that.
Yeah, we will make that correction. In addition.
There's no other questions. I entertain a motion to approve that list for the Scotland County Child Fatality Prevention Team.
I so move.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shelley. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And now we're gonna go back on one I said I was gonna do before that. This is a proclamation for your approval or whatever you want to do. This is recognizing May 4th through May 10th as Clerk to the Boards of County Commissioner Week. Whereas the role of the Clerk to the Board of County Commissioners is crucial for maintaining an informed community and facilitating effective local governance through communications among citizens, governing bodies, and administrative departments. And whereas the position of clerk, one of the oldest in local government, continues to be essential as the official record keeper of their counties, with responsibilities that are deeply rooted in history. And whereas North Carolina General Statute 153A-111 requires every Board of County Commissioners to appoint or designate a clerk to the board to perform any duties that may be required by law or the Board of Commissioners, including, but not limited to, the preparation, filing, and protection of local government records, which are vital for accountability and transparency. And whereas the clerk enhances their professional skills through active participation in the North Carolina Association of County Clerks to Board of Commissioners, which in partnership with the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill School of Government and the International Institute of Municipal Clerks offers national recognized certification programs and continuous professional education. And whereas the clerks, through their dedication to professional development, not only improve the efficacy of their offices, but also brings positive recognition to their counties by participating in advanced education and obtaining profession-related certifications. Now therefore let it be proclaimed by the Scotland County Board of Commissioners that May 4th through May 10th, 2025 will be recognized as Clerks to the Board of County Commissioners Week in Scotland County, and extends its appreciation to the Clerk to the Board, Dorothy B. Tyson, and to all county clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the county they represent. Adopted this 5th day of May, 2025. Okay. Do I have a motion for the proclamation? So we have a motion and a second.
And a second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Tyson, for what you do every day.
All right. A whole week for yourself. That's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, it's your week. All right, next item on is personnel policy approvals.
Okay, so your Personnel Policy Committee met again, and I'll remind you that's Commissioner O'Neill, Commissioner Frizzell, and Commissioner Williams. So we met last week before, and they have approved these policies to bring before you tonight. So I'll briefly talk about those. Voluntary shared policy, this is an update to current policy that will change, for some reason, when voluntary shared leave policy was made many years ago, people were donating their annual leave for sick leave purposes. And so a couple of our department heads thought, we don't really understand that, and they were right. So it just changed to say, if you as a county employee are gonna donate leave to somebody else who needs sick leave, you're donating your sick leave, not your annual leave. That also prevents the recipient from taking annual leave and getting paid out if they left employment, or taking vacation with someone's annual leave that it really should have been sick leave. So it just kind of makes sense. And we also, the policy was also wide open that somebody could donate as much leave as they wanted. And so we also tailored that down to, I believe, 40 hours. So somebody can donate up to a week in a year to, they can donate it to one person, or they can split it up among several people. So that's the changes to voluntary shared leave. We have 2 IT policies that are both updates to policy. One was a simple change of wording, that our acceptable use policy that basically says if a county staff finds that their IT equipment is lost, stolen, goes missing, that they will immediately report that to us. Of course, that's based on security needs. If we have lost our equipment that can get on our network, we need to know that to shut it down immediately. And so that was that change. The third, the IT workstation policy. When the National Guard was here and giving us advice on how to strengthen our network, they recommended we implement multi-factor authentication when signing into our network or our system, especially to the suite we use, which is the G Suite. And so we need to get that set up. We also learned even after that you won't get cyber insurance anymore if you don't use multi-factor authentication in your workplace. So we're kind of forced into doing this, and it's just a good idea. It's just one more protection. So that has been added into the workstation policy, and we will get that rolled out. It'll take us a little while to get that set up and rolled out to county staff, but eventually we'll do that. Our on-call policy, again, that is not new. Our commissioners just updated that. It needed to be clarified a little bit better, the difference from being on call and called back to work. Those are 2 different things, and so those have been clarified very well, and the commissioners also thought it was a good idea to clarify which departments had to designate on-call versus any department really could call somebody back if they needed to for an emergency. And then finally, the last one is a new policy entitled Required Reporting and Response. Our commissioners thought, we don't have any policy that says if certain things happen in the county, I need to know, so I can determine what the response is going to be and how we're going to pull the appropriate people together for whatever that incident is or whatever is going on. I need to know. for lack of better words. We
You
don't,
mean as the county manager?
as the county manager, yes, not as April Sneed, but as the
No,
county
not as a
manager.
commissioner either, but
Correct.
you as the county.
Correct. And so it just lists out different things that you could expect. An example, if a county employee got seriously hurt, I need to know that. I'd like to know that. And so we can make sure we are responding appropriately. If there are certain things that would require our county attorney, we need to make sure we rope him into that. So this is I think it's only a page and a half policy, but it explains those things and then explains our response will be, we will pull together the appropriate people to the table to respond to whatever it is that's going on. And so that was just to make that clear and make sure that we're acting consistently across the county. And so I'll let these two gentlemen, if you all have anything to add about those policies.
This is kind of getting off topic, but you brought it up. The National Guard, I know they came back and did a re-review. Have we got the report back?
We're looking at several others in the future, and policies that are 8 years old should probably be reviewed in light of changes of technology, the law, you know, expectations, that kind of thing. So I appreciate the effort on this, and we'll be continuing to look at policies across the county to make sure they're right-sized, simple enough for everyone to understand too.
Okay. No one else? All right, we'll take a motion to approve these personnel you want to just do it all as one? We can do it all as one, right? Instead of doing each. Updating the personnel policies as attached in the agenda.
Make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The next, we'll go to our board appointments and our vice chair, Mr. Fazell.
Okay, commissioners, I'm gonna do this in a motion. So we got the Transit Advisory Board reappointment, William L. Tyson Sr. Then we got our Historic Properties, moved to Travis Ivy from the alternate to a regular board member, seat 8. And I do that in a motion.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Second. All right, any other discussion or question? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ms. Sneed, moving right along.
Okay, for my county manager's report, we continue to make movements towards actually seeing what looks like real work to install the North Turnpike water line. Of course, a lot of behind-the-scene work goes on with that. Our project manager is working on temporary construction easements, development and acquisition agreements. Of course, we've had to go through NCDOT for encroachment requests and to install some water main along Peach Orchard Road. You know, that's going to attach to North Turnpike Road. So while we don't see digging out there yet, work does continue, so we are able to start digging and actually putting in pipe. I did get an email from a citizen wanting to know, you know, was the project still going on? And so I'll make an announcement here like I responded to them. Of course, yes, the project is a go, and when we get closer to the time we know that they will begin to see digging out there, we will get in touch with all the people that live within the scope of work to make sure, one, they know they still have the option to pay that $100 meter fee, or to verify that they already have. And so nobody is left out, you know, at this time while we're getting this line installed.
Do we have an idea when that's gonna be put out for bid?
I think we are close because we got the packet to review that is the bid language, and so we are reviewing that, and so I think we're close to putting out the bid.
So April, from the time they start putting in pipe, how long do you think, what's the estimated completion? Are we talking
5
first
months.
quarter of
5, 6 months.
26?
Once they start installing.
Once they start, it won't take long. Once they start, 5, 6 months, they'll have.
So maybe end of year?
probably.
Because we'll put out the bid, of course, we'll leave it out to bid, we'll collect those, we'll have an opening date to see who's gonna get the bid for construction, and then, we'll kind of be on their timeline too for when they can begin.
Okay.
And also, they'll have a deadline on it also. It's just, what deadline we want to put on it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about as people talk about it, it'd be nice to say we're shooting for February of 2026.
Yes, I agree.
Kind of
Yeah.
give people an idea,
I'll get with our project manager and our engineers to see how long they think it's gonna take to get the final permitting we need, and then when they feel like it'll be put out to bid. And that'll tell us a lot more.
Okay.
So our EMS building, most of our site planning has been completed by Alliance for the new EMS building. And if you recall, it's going right here, right beside this building. And so we're still waiting on some environmental due diligence requirements to be met and to be approved. Next, we'll start on permitting. And actually, we have to get the approval of the site planning. And so we'll be doing that. I've got on here the project is on schedule. The project is actually probably a month or two ahead of schedule. And so we hope we stay on that track. So that's where we are now.
Is it on this side or this side?
Kind of both. Your ambulance bays will be on that side, and then the housing piece will be on this side. Connected, of course. I. Johnson Playground, a vendor has been approved for the I. Johnson Playground. Of course, we got a $190,000 grant from Trillium to do that playground, so all expenses for that will be covered by Trillium. This will be the first, what they call, handicap inclusive playground in all of Scotland County. And I got a little education on that. We've always heard of handicap accessible. There's a difference in accessible and inclusive. Accessible means they could just, if a child was in a wheelchair, ride their wheelchair up to the the play area. Inclusive means there's ramps all the way through that play area, and they can go all the way up in there like other children can. And so that's one requirement of Trillium's grant funding for playgrounds. And so our Parks and Rec group are coming together to pick out the final design. And we do have a deadline. I believe this has to be finished by the end of this year. So
Will the grant cover 100% of the cost?
I do believe so. We'll do a little bit of the site work ourselves. It's not a lot of site work because the area's already there. And then they'll come in and do the rest.
Where's it going?
It's going in the courtyard of I. Johnson, so where
Oh, in the center?
yes, so it will be enclosed, and so if somebody was in the, I always call it the old library, if someone was in the large room, you can see out in that courtyard, because it's all windows, so it'll be in there. Senior Games, again, Parks and Recreation have been in the middle of Senior Games over the last few weeks. They've had over 150 participants, seniors playing all kinds of sports, and so we wanted to recognize that. Senior Games are a big thing in Scotland County, and they do so many different sports, and we have a lot of participation. And then at the end of those games, they have a banquet one night, and they give out awards, and they give it's almost like the Olympics a little bit. They give out who are the gold medalists and silver, who did the very best in all the games. So it's a busy time for them. We talked last month, it came up about our tax department getting together lists for surplus property, for unknown properties. Our tax department is working on that. They're almost finished with the list already, even more than I expected, because I gave a little, not hesitation, but I gave a little warning that we're right in the middle of tax reeval. Well, your tax administrator went right to work, and she's almost got that entire list completed with all those properties and all the information you need to know about those properties. So we'll finish that up, I'm hoping, in the next month or so, and we'll have that at our disposal, and then we can have some more conversation about what that looks like with all those properties on there. And that's for personal and real property, so that's quite a list. Because when you talk about personal property, now you get into cars and things like that. So that list can be rather long. Okay, new business, Lincoln Park. Our playground equipment all gets inspected regularly. That's on our playgrounds. We have seen that the playground equipment at Lincoln Park needs to be removed. It is very old, dated, and we do not feel that it is safe for children to play on. And so, of course, you wouldn't walk up and say, "Oh my, this is dangerous." But when an inspector comes out and sees certain things, they give us recommendations, and we think the recommendations are enough to go ahead and remove that playground equipment. So we're going to do that now, and then might get another grant for additional playground
Lincoln
equipment.
Park.
I was about to say, this inclusive, handicap inclusive thing might be a great
Right.
grant opportunity and go ahead and retrofit some of our existing
Absolutely.
facilities.
Where's Lincoln Park?
Lawrence, help remind. Right, and I think it's a smaller
It was
park.
back there. It's way back there. That was gonna have to come out anyway for the housing, so.
Potentially, if that's part of that land. That y'all are
is,
deeding over,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
More talk about grant funding. Scotland County received a grant. Initially, it was to do testing for lead copper lines that was required by DOT. We didn't need any grant money to do that testing. We were able to get that done, and so now we're going to roll that grant money in. It can't be used for infrastructure or to build, so we're using it. We don't have a long-range plan for our water systems in Scotland County. And so we're going to use that grant money for the company to work on that. And they're going to update all our GIS layering for water, which desperately needs to be done. That will benefit the city and Scotland County because it's probably been 10 years since that layering on GIS has been updated. And the last thing I have is more grant funding. I feel like I've talked about that a lot. You may have seen the press announcement that we are part of the broadband grant. We're receiving $998,000, about $1 million, that will bring more high-speed internet to places that either have absolutely no internet or they call underserved. It's very slow. It's not high speed. And so I actually these are the areas, it's hard to see, but the green dots are the areas identified that the broadband will come to. And so you can look up in the corner, there's a red square around the area, and then you can see the green dots where it will be focused. I don't have a time frame on that. It's got to be completed by end of year 26, but I don't have a time frame of when it will start because it is brand new information.
Just a quick question. Can some of our small towns leverage this for, like, I know in some places a small town will have a Wi-Fi hub. That's a public Wi-Fi access.
Right.
Can this be connected to something like that, or can this create this? So, like, could Gibson have a area that there would be public Wi-Fi available?
And Lumber River Council of Government is providing Wagram Community Center with just that. And so that is available in Wagram. They just set it up, maybe 2 months ago, where it's like a hub for people can come in and use Wi-Fi. So Lumber River did that. This project, I'm not sure if municipalities can apply for it because I know it's counties apply for it. And what happens is your county applies, they determine if you have enough areas that are underserved or not served. And once they determine that you are eligible, then they put it out for bid on behalf of the county. And so I think it's for what they call like these pods of areas where they identify the most underserved people are sitting.
I didn't know if like Laurel Hill, which is not a municipality, that might, because basically what I've seen is you go into a town and there's like a cone of coverage for people who don't regularly have access to the internet would have access through this. So I'm just wondering in some of our more rural areas
Right.
where we do have people, because a lot of times these broadbands are just, it's an underground thing, not a in the
Right.
air, so to
And
speak.
then individuals hook up to the broadband when it comes through.
Right.
Or their service just gets better when it comes through.
And not everyone has a home or, has a place like that.
Yeah. So that, of course, I put on their upcoming events. I do have one other thing I need your approval on. I need your approval that we can sign the contract in order to get the single county audit started for fiscal year 25 for this year. That contract amount this year will be $74,850.
How much is that up from last year? That's about,
I think that's about, it may have went up some, but I
It's
think
about-
it's close.
I thought it was in the 60s. We're in the wrong business.
So, of course, it's required. It's the
Well,
law.
Of course.
That would be with the same company we have used this year.
Just trying to give somebody the wording for the motion. So,
I have it right here.
God, what is?
I know their
I
name.
can see their logo.
Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams and Company.
Was this included in our budget numbers?
It always is because we know we're required to have it.
Okay. I didn't know if you just got those numbers or not.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve $74,850 for the Thompson Price Scott Adams annual county audit.
Make a motion.
Have a motion, Commissioner Edge. Any second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Frizell, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, like I said, we're in the wrong business. All right.
That is my report.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to another one that I had asked on the agenda toward the end, and it's about the signage on that bridge at Lees Mill Road and Shoe Hill Creek. And just to kind of summarize this, we had some anyway, we had some stuff about the no fishing from the bridge sign that is on that bridge. And there's some no parking signs out there. And apparently, from what I've learned from DOT, the no fishing on bridge sign was put up in 2006. Their file shows no reason why it was put up. But they also state that that is not illegal to fish from the bridge because in the state of North Carolina on a secondary road. So he said he really doesn't know why that sign was put up and they can't find any backup documentation for it. Then the other issue was the no parking out there, which have been there since 2013. Same thing, doesn't have the documentation as to why they put it there, but he seemed to remember that it was a trash issue, if he thought, the guy that I was talking to. So we've been asked to look at that. I asked DOT twice what it would take for if we wanted to ask them to take the signs down. Of course, we can't order them to do anything. It's still up to them no matter what. And he asked for this board to ask him is basically the way he put it. However, we decide if we want to decide to do that, but I need to make it very clear that it's not a guarantee that anything will be done. It's still in DOT's wheelhouse. It's not in our wheelhouse at all. I would like to, if we decide to do whatever we decide to do on it, to have a caveat with this to say, if those signs come down, especially those parking signs, and it becomes any kind of issue, trash, partying, whatever the case may be out there, that we turn this around and put them right back up. So,
So, yeah, so I think the best approach with this is to ask DOT to make a determination to review the current bridge and the area to and from the bridge, like let's say within a quarter of a mile, and see what requirements should exist. You know, should there be certain signage? Should there be guardrails installed? Should there be whatever? I think that's really the answer because this is a DOT issue. They have exclusive governance over the highway. And I think we can make the request based on citizen feedback. But I do think getting an answer from them in like 30 days would be appropriate because I think people expect an answer. And if it's not illegal to fish from the bridge, so be it. If it's deemed that that bridge is unsafe for people to fish from for some reason or contrary to law, then that's fine too. But I don't think it's up to us what those rules should be. It's up to them, and we should ask them to make that determination based on existing law. So I'd like to do that in the form of a letter from this board to North Carolina DOT.
could you help with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think another component of, I think you touched on this, is potential liability. I think asking them to assess it rather than it coming as a recommendation from
Right.
this board. That-
Or a request from,
Or,
yeah.
yeah, that it be done only if it's safe and
Right.
not hazardous to, there may be good reasons those signs are out there. I don't.
That's right.
And
But-
well, and there very well may be.
Yeah.
He just didn't have any documentation in their file as to at the time when they were put up. He had the dates, but he didn't have anything as to why, who requested it, or whatever the case was. So,
And let them make the determination
And
of
let
what's
them make
safe
the
and
determination.
not hazardous.
Right.
And I'll tell you, talking with the sheriff today, he confirmed that if a law enforcement officer saw a hazardous condition or potentially hazardous condition, like let's say their shoulder is so narrow that people are parking in the roadway, they could file a report and it would be reviewed by DOT to determine if signage was needed. So I think our role is to really elevate this issue for their attention, have them make a determination, but communicate the results back to us so we can let citizens know. Because I'll tell you, this has been a hot topic for people, and I think they deserve to know what's legal, what's appropriate,
Right.
and what's not. So that would be my motion, that this board present a letter from the chairman to North Carolina DOT requesting an evaluation of the Creeds Bridge and the areas on both sides to ensure that it's properly marked and safe.
okay, that's a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And you'll take care of drafting that, okay? All right, no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye, any opposed? All right. Move on to Commissioner news, and we'll start with Commissioner Edge.
I don't have any news.
Anything, Commissioner Frizell?
Yes. You know, we talked about the IEJ. Did we set up anything or did we advertise that or?
I was gonna bring that to you in June
Okay.
at your next meeting, and just bring that in for discussion and where y'all really wanted to go with that.
Okay.
And so if anybody, I guess, has ideas of how to lead that discussion, then we'll be open to them. But I was gonna put it on your agenda.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I would like to see at least 2 or 3 of us get together and sort of frame the problem, so to
Yeah, like
speak.
put
or
a little
frame
committee
the-
together. Yeah.
That way, when we do come before the board, we can say, look, this is the objective that we're potentially trying to achieve. What's perhaps the best way to go about it, rather than sort of bringing it cold.
Right.
But I had that
So-
same question as well.
So do you all want to decide on your committee tonight,
I
and
think-
then that will
I think
determine
that
when
would
it
be
comes
great.
to the
Yeah.
agenda or not.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'd be great if we could do that better.
I think Duke is interested, I know he's not here tonight, but at the budget meeting, he indicated he would be interested in participating. I know I would.
I'd be glad to.
Jeff?
Duke, Jeff, and you?
Mr. Shelley?
No, Duke, Jeff, just about 3 of them be fine.
Okay, yeah, the three of us with the
Yeah,
county
Coke Bill can't
manager.
beat us 4.
Okay.
I think that'd be great.
Can't put 4 together.
Can't put 4 in there.
Can't do 4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry.
Right. Okay. You got that.
So then I will, instead of saying it'll be on the agenda the next time, we'll see what happens between now and then.
Okay.
If you're
Yeah,
even
at
ready
least
for
we
that.
can give you
Y'all
some,
wanna go ahead and set up a meeting time now for the 3 of y'all to meet, or?
no, we'll probably just talk about that offline.
Yeah, 'cause you
But
gotta-
I
you
think
gotta
our,
get with Duke.
our goal would be to frame up something to bring to the group to say, here's what we're trying to accomplish, and what do you guys think about the best way to move forward?
Absolutely, that sounds like a
Okay.
good idea.
Yep. Anything else?
That was it.
Commissioner O'Neill, you have anything?
Contractual reviews. We've had this discussion this week about a contract through economic development. And it kind of, to me, this highlights the issue of any contract issued in this county should be reviewed by the county attorney. Or if a county attorney has a conflict for some reason, that we do get a legal review, mandatory legal review, but also the county manager's involvement, the budget officer, or whoever is a subject matter expert. If it's a Parks and Rec contract, let's say, bring Parks and Recs in. But it bothers me that, and I think we all should be concerned, that any contract that obligates the county in a financial way, in a performance, in any kind of performance, we should have the county attorney engaged. This should not be a surprise when some enforcement is required.
Well, I think that is a requirement, right, that you,
Well, it's certainly been something that Ms. Sneed has been particularly zealous about. And, you know, I've been included in, she can probably tell you, my pet peeve is to always have a pre-audit done by the finance officer on all contracts. So I think,
she was here.
yeah, I think we've done that on those in the last year and a half.
That is really our practice now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it hasn't been our practice, and I think this most recent situation kind of reflects a time when it wasn't our practice, and people were probably prone to use templates and other contracts and say, hey, it was good enough then, it's good enough now. That doesn't replace an attorney's, our county attorney's engagement.
And that issue you're talking about basically is what happens if they don't submit.
Or it could be the other way around, you know, what are we obligating ourselves to do?
Right.
Right,
Well, yeah,
because someone's gonna use that contract to say, you didn't do as you were required to do. So that axe sort of cuts both ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't bring this up to say there's a dramatic problem, but I do think, well, he's gone now, but I think getting contracts looked at, we should all be conditioned to think, let's make sure our attorney is aware, has the opportunity to review along with county manager, budget officer, whomever. The final thing is, we were talking about this EPA engagement with Cascades, this water project, and do we have an ID yet for the Hope County facility?
Have they even,
ID?
Yeah, the water plant ID was needed so that,
Hope County has not responded to.
I was gonna say,
No matter how
and I
many
haven't
times I
heard
reach
anything
out.
back from the one we
they
had,
do
the
not
discussion we
respond.
had in DC.
well, the EPA guy contacted me. And then I went to April and said, hey, here's what, you know, they're requiring. And basically, they don't want to get started with any work or
Right.
put it on the list of potential projects to fund the study
Mm-hmm.
without having the other party say, yes, we're interested.
Right, right.
So all they're asking from Hope County is the ID for the water plant facility so that the EPA knows that both ends of the project are interested, so they'll invest The
I think
guys
you-
reached out to me and.
You were trying to get the county manager on the phone, and I tried to get our contact from
multiple
DC.
times.
So I don't know how we move this, and at some point we'll give up, I guess, but I'd hate to see.
Well, can we do it without them involved and Hoke involved, just for our benefit?
Well, and I'm
Not-
not sure from the EPA funding side, but from Scotland County and what we've requested in the past, we've already got engineer studies of what needs to be done to both water plants to bring them back to life, per se. The studies are sitting there, and
Did
then
you-
more
This is-
funding is needed.
But this is for the transfer of water
To another county.
to another county,
It
so.
is, but the plant would have to be online to
Did you happen to
transfer
get a
water.
cost on that, estimated cost also? On what it take to bring that water?
On which one? It
The-
depends
the
on if you're talking
water
about
plant.
wastewater
No, the
or,
water plant, the plant itself.
but, well, we have two plants.
No, I ain't talking about the wastewater. I'm
Oh,
talking about the
okay.
water.
I'd have to look. It's been so long since that engineer study was done, and then it just sat there. What we were doing, the study for the non-wastewater plant was to bring it back to, because we have to do fire suppression for Cascades. And so it was to make sure that we could do that, and we could do that correctly. Our holdup has been a contractual issue with Cascades. Really, it's about interpretation to determine, do we have to have, the amount of water we have to have? And does it have to be in 2 tanks, or can it all be in 1 tank? And Cascades has some new leadership, and they have now assured me that they are gonna get us their interpretation of the contract.
Okay.
And then we'll decide if we agree with that interpretation, and then we could actually move forward.
I'll tell you though, I bring this up because it's gonna be, number one, this is a good potential revenue generator. Number two, it's gonna take several years from the time we get our initial EPA technical study done before the first drop of water ever moves. So I don't want us to lose momentum because we do have a resource that could be valuable to our county. I know Hope County needs it, so I know April has been reaching out. I don't know if the rest of us know someone that can influence this, but I think it's important for our county. And
Would it help to get for us to contact Senator Pierce?
maybe Senator Pierce could move,
He
Representative
would have
Pierce
more
could move this
contacts
over.
up there at least.
Well, I mean, it's not one, he serves both counties, so.
Yeah. The other thing is that Moore County as well has some water issues, and there may be other opportunities. Sitting through the last budget meeting, I'm very aware that revenue is important, and this could be a good thing for our county, and it's also going to help us spur growth perhaps in that part of the county. So.
Well, how long ago was it that they contacted us? And
Hope County?
yeah, I
They
can't
came
remember how long it was
down-
when they contacted us and was
They
interested
came
in
down and
talking.
saw the plant.
2 years.
It's right when I took this position, so about 1.5 years ago, give or take a few months, they came down here and met with us.
Did they have any kind of response on that when you talked to them? Did they act like they was really interested? or-
They came, they looked at the plant, they talked about their need for water, and then I tried to follow up after that, and
The hangup that I remember in there was their water person talking about mixing the surface and
Surface
groundwater.
with the,
and we've since found out that might not be
That's right,
correct.
and that's why the technical study is so important. And again, you don't know what Moore County and others, so as we interact with these folks, I just think we have something here that could potentially be good, and I think we could get some assistance along the way with it, and just need to keep pushing.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Shelley,
I do not.
anything? I don't have anything other than to remind folks of also the Laurel Fest coming up this Saturday, so,
Correct.
at the Laurel Hill Community Center, so. All right, if there's nothing else, I need a motion, we go into that closed session
I'll
real
make the
quick.
motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
You wanna sign this stuff, Mr.
And I'm gonna record Ed saying that this will not take long, so.
Unless y'all make it long.
He's got to put that caveat in there, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what, you know that William Tyson
I
got
don't
a
want
point.
that water thing without that.
How you do,
I think that's money maker.
Can you imagine if you were just charging a gallon?
I was thinking a nickel.
I got the name check.
Good God, you're talking about 8
He hardly
million
cussed me
gallon
at
a day to come in.
Exactly.
God.
I mean, I don't mean this kind of flip, kid. This kind of answers to right this county's prayer a little bit.
I'm telling you,
You know what I
it is, and you know what, if we